Salaam Alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir. Walaikum salam, sir.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, who came to us in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, the one God to whom praise is due forever, the Lord of the worlds. We are eternally grateful to Allah for His coming, for His mercy, for His compassion, for those of us who were lost, those of us whom the world had deemed irredeemable. And we are forever grateful and eternally thankful for this one God who came to us in the person of Master Farad Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
And we thank Him for His raising up in our midst His true servant,
That's right.
His last apostle, our divine leader, our divine teacher, and our divine guide in the personage of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the last and the greatest messenger of Allah. It is in those two holy and righteous names that I would like to greet you once again, my dear, beloved black brothers and sisters in the nation of Islam's greeting words of peace. Salaam Alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Walaikum salam, sir.
All praise is due to Allah. I pray Allah that everyone is in the best of spirit this Sunday afternoon.
Yes, sir.
I pray Allah that you are in the best of health
Yes, sir.
and that your families are well, that you had a productive week, and I am grateful to Allah and honored by your presence, whether you're here physically at the temple or you are listening in on our conference call. It is the highlight of my week to come before the believers and our guest to represent the life-giving teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. As the brother Minister Isaac had mentioned before me, we are in the midst of our December fast. I pray that everyone's fast is going successful and well, and you're not overburdened by the lack of food or drink during the daylight hours.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For those of us who are veterans in the nation, this should not be a big deal for us.
That's right.
We eat one meal a day anyway. So the only thing we're really abstaining from is drink during the daylight hours.
Yes, sir.
But for those of you who may be novices and first time around on the December fast,
Yes.
it's not, I pray that your fast is successful. And my word of advice to you would be to read the books How to Eat to Live, both 1 and 2, volume 1 and 2 during this month. It'll give you some inspiration and some insight into the Muslim diet and why it is that we do what we do.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Islam is a very practical teaching. There's a method to our madness, so to speak, right? When we read the Holy Quran, we read in this book, Holy Quran, which is the book of scripture
Yes.
that the Muslims read, that is the belief of over 1 billion Muslims on the planet, that this book, Holy Quran, is the revealed word of Allah, right?
Yes, sir.
God. And in this book, right, Holy Quran, there is great teaching. And one of the things that we're taught in the Quran is fasting,
Yes, sir.
right? Fasting is a it's a prescription. The Holy Quran describes it as. And just like anything else, brother, when you need a prescription, it's because you're a little off,
That's
right?
Yes, sir.
So
See.
you're sick, exactly. So we need prescriptions.
Yes, sir.
And we're fortunate as Muslims to have the doctor of all doctors
Yes.
giving us our prescription. So one of the things that was prescribed for us, among other things, is fasting.
Yes, sir.
Right? So Allah does not place a burden upon the believer that he or she cannot handle. And this is not much to ask, to abstain from food and drink during the daylight hours during the month of December.
No, sir.
And as the brother minister explained, the reason why we do what we do. And the Quran teaches us that Allah does not waste anything, and that there is nothing in creation that is created in vain. For everything in life, everything in Allah's creation has a aim, it has a purpose, it has a destiny, right? So this is the method to our madness, so to speak. All praise is due to Allah. Fasting is good for health. Fasting is good for spiritual health. It's good for physical health. It's good for mental health.
Yes.
In fact, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that fasting can cure 90%, over 90% of our illnesses, both physically and spiritually. He said that
Thank God.
in How to Eat to Live. So I pray that everyone is having a successful December fast thus far. And as the Savior said in the instructions to the laborers, work cheerfully, right?
Yes, sir.
Be cheerful during this month,
That's right.
because we're blessed to have a teacher in our midst who has pulled our coat, so to speak, to the machinations of this world and the devil's false holiday called Christmas, which is really nothing but a recycled version of old pagan practices that came out of Babylon and Rome.
Yes, sir.
Right or wrong? No historian will dispute that. But see, they attach the name Jesus to it
Yes, sir.
in order to attract the original people of the planet Earth.
That's right.
And it's what the devil does. He uses a holy and righteous man, puts him out there as a smokescreen to get us to accept it, because righteousness is our nature.
That's right.
And in our nature, we are programmed to incline to that which is right, because Islam is our nature.
Yes.
So the devil will put something holy and righteous on the cover, but behind the cover, there's nothing but filth and debauchery. This is his game. This is what he's done throughout his history on the planet Earth. And we are blessed by Allah to have a teacher in the personage of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, to have revealed these things to us, to pull the wool back on the devil's trick. So now we should be aware. Can the devil fool a Muslim? Ask the lessons. Not nowadays. All right? That wasn't my subject for today.
No, sir.
But being that we're in the December fast, I figured I have to say a few words. I mean, it's almost obligatory for a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to say a few words concerning December.
Yes, sir.
Right or wrong?
Yes, sir.
All right. All praise is due to Allah for the messenger. We here at Muhammad Temple of Islam on 135th Street, we stick to the old teaching.
Yes, sir.
We do things the old way. We fast in December. We let other people do what they do. I don't have no time to argue with you. If that's what you want to do, that's what you do.
Yes, sir.
Right?
That's right.
I'm sticking to the old way, because that's what works. Old school, brother. That's right.
Yes, sir.
You know, if what these other people had was had that much juice in it, if it was worth half of what they say it's worth, there wouldn't be no reason for God to come and raise a messenger in our midst. God don't come because things are rosy, brother.
No, sir.
God don't come because we all living on the city in the hill, brother.
No, sir.
Eating peaches and rivers of milk and honey flowing, brother. God came to Black Bottom, Detroit.
That's right.
For what?
Come on.
He didn't come there, brother, to have a good time and just, mingle with the people because the people were so holy, righteous,
No, sir. Come on.
He left the Holy Land to come to Black Bottom, Detroit, Michigan.
Yes,
The scripture says that he took off his holy robes and put on dire garments and came into the hells of America to raise one up. He didn't do that, brother, because the people were all right on a good spiritual beam here in America, brother. He came here to give us a prescription. So I'm going to stick to the prescription. I stick to what he taught. What he taught his messenger. I don't have no opinion on what you do. What you do is what you do. That's on you. You make your bed, you lie in it. That's it. The Holy Quran say Allah make our deeds cling to our neck. It's not up to me to judge you. Let Allah do that. I do what I'm instructed to do. You understand? I'm not going to sit here trying to waste time trying to convince people that, you know, because you fasting with the Arabs and you doing this and you bumping your head on the floor. Listen, do what you want to do, brother.
Yes, sir.
That's your prerogative. You grown, I'm grown. I'm going to follow what the messenger said.
It makes sense. Absolutely.
And when you read the scripture, you see a parting of the ways. See, all of us ain't going to be unified. Because truth is a distinction. Truth draws the line. Truth says, no, you go here and you go there. And you make the choice. So all of us ain't going to be together when it comes to certain things. But the least we can do is maintain the peace amidst our disagreements. We don't have to be niggas. We can still be Muslims, even though we disagree.
Yes, sir.
We don't have to be niggas, brother. We left that. That was supposed to be. When we came in here, all of that got washed away. So let's act like we know. All right? All right. All praise is due to Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, the subject that I've chosen today is entitled The Aims of Islam. The Aims of Islam. Now, a brother called me earlier and asked me, Brother Shabazz, how do you go about choosing subjects on a weekly basis?
Yes, sir.
And the brother asked me this question because he was putting us in a predicament where he had to cover down and teach today because his minister had a situation.
Yes,
so he was assigned to the rostrum.
Yes, sir.
So he was asking me a question. Because he had a subject, not particularly what he should teach for the day, because if he asked me, I would have just sent him to the back page.
Yes.
You could teach on that for 1,000 years, brother. You don't have a subject, just go to the back page.
Absolutely.
But he was asking me how do I come up with my subjects?
Yes, sir.
And I said, to me, brother, the way I come up with my subjects is current events. I see what's going on in the world, and I teach on it. I give the perspective of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
Because the messenger's teaching is so vast
Yes, sir.
that you can always find something within it that will explain what's going on presently in the world.
That's right.
So in that spirit, I chose this subject, the aims of Islam. Now, you may be asking, well, brother Shabazz, brother minister, why the aims of Islam? Why is this important to teach? Why do we need to revisit this subject? For those of us who have been around for some time. We got a brother in our midst who's been around for 52 years.
Yes, sir.
Some of us I'm not even 52 years old. And some of us in the audience
Yes, sir.
are even young enough to be my son
Yes,
and younger. So we have children in the audience.
That's right.
If we're doing our job, we should have guest families in the audience.
That's right.
So for those of you who may not know what the aims of Islam is, this is to instruct you. For those of you who have been around for some time, This is a refresher course.
That's right.
You understand?
Indeed.
Praise be to Allah.
That's right.
All right. So Islam is a real hot subject today in the world.
Yes, it is.
You know, there's no shortage of Arabs, crazy Africans from Nigeria, Boko Haram, and kidnapping girls and forcing them into hijabs, and there's no shortage of that. And the devil has no area, brother, no problem with putting this stuff out on the screen and representing this as Islam to the people.
That's true. Yes, sir.
So Muslims are duty bound to come out and speak against this stuff,
That's true. Yes, sir.
because Islam is a clear message.
Go ahead.
It is the perfect religion, according to the 5th chapter of the Holy Quran, wherein it says, "This day I have perfected your religion and have called it Islam."
That's it.
But you don't get that in the media, and you should not expect to get that. See, America
Come on.
and the Western world in general
Yes.
has a very long history of smearing Islam. This is not something new.
No, sir.
You can go back all the way back to the silent film era of the 1920s
Yes, sir.
and prior to that, and see these old sinister films of these Arabs riding on horsebacks with swords.
Yes, sir.
And if you think into your memory bank, you've seen this.
That's right.
They call them the Mohammedans, or Mohammedism is what Islam was referred to at that time, the 19th century and in the early 20th century, right?
Yes, sir.
Where you had what was called Orientalist scholars. Orientalists were Europeans that went to the University of Oxford and these institutions of higher learning in Europe
Yes.
and in the European diaspora. Tongue twister.
Yes, sir.
In America. And they studied Islam, or they studied the customs and the culture of the people of the quote unquote Middle East. And this is where you get your Middle Eastern geography from, where these artificial borders were laid out by these Europeans. And at that time, they referred to it as Mohammedanism. Right?
Yes, sir.
And their narrative was that Muslims were barbarians who spread Islam by the sword. That Muslims were savages, intolerant savages who spread Islam at the point of a sword and converted millions of people.
That's what they did. They was trying to say that.
Ironic, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's exactly what the conquistadors did to the Incas and to the Aztecs and to many different tribes throughout North and South America.
That's right.
Converted at the point of a sword. The Portuguese did it in the Canary Islands. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Throw the rock, hide the stone. This is the hypocrisy of the devil.
Of themselves. Right. Absolutely.
But this is the narrative that they have fed people off and on for the last 150 years
Yeah.
and maybe longer. But we're sticking with modern history. But over the last 15 years, since 9/11, you have seen an acceleration of this anti-Islamic propaganda.
Yes, sir.
And in truth, there is a broad interest and a narrow interest. See, the broad interest is, I'm a Muslim. I don't like to hear people smearing Islam and misrepresenting Islam because I'm a Muslim. The more narrow interest is Islam is our salvation as a people. So any smearing of Islam is particularly the Islam that was taught to us by Elijah Muhammad, messenger of Allah.
Yes, sir.
Will turn the people away from the very thing that is their salvation. So over the last 15 years, you have had this onslaught of anti-Islamic propaganda. And this is nothing new. It is just the recycling of a narrative. Just like in the 60s, you had the Black Power movement.
Yes, sir.
In the 70s, you had blaxploitation films. And those blaxploitation films, by the time they were done, the damage that they had done had almost made it where the Black Power movement of the 1960s was almost null and void. Superfly replaced Huey Newton. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
It happened again in the 80s, where you had black conscious hip hop. Groups like Public Enemy, Brand Nubian, Waking Up the Youth, Eric B. and Rakim, Waking Up the Youth. Many of us coming to ourselves by listening to this music, getting curious about information. And then the blaxploitation hip hop came in, like groups like NWA, Niggas with Attitude. And today, I mean, groups that are out today make NWA look like Public Enemy. That's how bad it's gotten. But you have, see, that's why history is important. Because when you know history, you know the theme, you know the narrative, you know exactly where it's coming from. And that's what they're doing. They're recycling these old stereotypes.
Yes.
Right? And this is the reason why when the messenger advised us, he advised us to stay away from certain translations of the Holy Quran.
That's right.
Because those translations were biased against Islam.
Yes, sir.
And they taught that Islam was spread by the sword, which is not the truth. It isn't the truth. One of the translations of the Holy Quran was the Yusuf Ali translation
Yes, sir.
that the messenger advised us to read.
Yes, sir.
So this is a good translation.
Yes, sir.
Another one is the Maulana Muhammad Ali translation, which is my personal favorite.
Yes, sir.
Now this man, Maulana Muhammad Ali, wrote a great book. Wrote several books. The man was a scholar.
Yes, sir.
But if you are interested in an honest defense and an honest explanation of certain key principles of Islam,
Yes, sir.
this is a great book to read. The Religion of Islam by Maulana Muhammad Ali.
Yes, sir.
In this book, he defends the position that Islam was spread by the sword in a very, very brilliant manner. I read it several years ago, and I recommend it to anyone who's interested in an honest perspective and an honest narrative
Yes,
of that subject.
Yes, sir.
Now, you know, I have to be completely honest with you. And we have to be fair. You see this thing that happened over here in Ohio State University on Monday
Oh, yes, sir.
with the African guy?
Yes.
Runs up on the curb, brother, starts running people over, gets out, he starts stabbing, brother. He's stabbing people like a Mexican in a shower in Attica, brother.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
You know?
So you couldn't take it no more.
Yeah. You know.
Many times.
And the devil jumped all over it. Islamic terrorism. You know, every time something like this happens, it's almost like the same parallel as when like a Negro gun jumps in, like something happens in the ghetto, and they put the camera or they put the microphone in front of the most ignorant Negro they can find, brother. And he goes, it'd be a sister or brother, and they get up there talking about, yeah, I saw what happened, and I'll be out here all the time. That's how I feel when I see stuff like this happen. It's like somebody runs in some ways, it starts gunning people down. The first thing through my mind is, man, I hope that was a white boy that did that. And then they'll flash some African or some Arab, and the name will be like Abdul Rahman Ibn, Sheikh Sharif.
Yes, sir.
It's like, oh God, not again.
That's right.
See, Lyndon B. Johnson, let's do a little history. In 1965, signed into effect the Immigration Act. You remember that, Brother Isaac.
Yes.
And, it could be argued that he did that to counter the effect of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
So, that's a good point.
Because the messenger was so successful and he was gaining so much steam at that time with Black America, and the ranks were growing.
Yes, sir. Wow.
And now Lyndon B. Johnson signs this thing into effect and starts letting all of these foreign Muslims in the country,
Yes, sir.
these Arabs. And those people were never hesitant to call us disbelievers,
That's true.
kafirs, not real Muslims. We are not practicing the sunnah of the Prophet.
Yes,
They never short of criticisms of us.
No, sir. Absolutely.
Never short. But see, the devil never had these kind of problems with us
No, sir. And he knows.
because we're not permitted to carry weapons. And I'm going to say that again.
That's true.
For the devils, the agents, whatever alphabet soup agency that's listening to my lectures, and I know you're out there, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad does not permit his followers to carry so much as a penknife.
Absolutely true. That's right.
Our weapon is the truth. Our weapon is unity.
That's right.
Our weapon is the power of God that backs us. But we do not carry the carnal weapons of this world.
No, sir.
So the devil never had problems like that with us.
That's right. Absolutely.
But you start letting these people in this country, and these people got different ideas
That's right.
than we were taught.
Don't care.
Some of these people, brother, some of these people crazy. I mean, you kidnap girls, brother. And I'm not saying that that's exactly how it went, because, the devil's a liar. But hypothetically speaking, there's nothing Islamic about kidnapping children, brother, and forcing hijabs on them.
No, sir.
There's nothing Islamic about killing people, brother, who have not provoked you.
That's true. Only those in
There's nothing Islamic about that.
No, sir.
We treat everyone the way we want to be treated. We give everyone justice.
That's true.
Everyone, including the Caucasian.
That's right.
You treat them right, and you treat them the way you want to be treated. You give everyone a fair shake. That's our teaching. That's what Islam is. Islam is the religion of justice. We don't force conversion.
No, sir.
We don't do that. There is no compulsion in religion.
That's right.
And you got to make these things clear. Because I don't just teach these lectures for Muslims to come and do that. I teach these lectures so that you can send them out. That's why I upload them and touching on subjects that are relative to the time so that you can send them out to people and say, no, listen to this is a proper representation of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
That's right, brother minister. Yes, sir.
Because the aim and the objective is to fill up these seats.
That's true.
I don't come out here, brother, every Sunday to look good, even though I like to dress up.
Yes, sir. Makes sense.
You know, I love you and everything, brother, but you know, we got to fill these seats up.
That's right. That's how.
And this is the massive, that's why the lessons say they continue daily to teach the 85% that all they see and hear, such as rain, hail, snow, and earthquake, come from the mystery God that no one will be able to see until he dies. They continue daily. That's their job, to deceive, going to and fro in the earth, seeking to devour all that they can consume, brother.
That's true. Yes. Absolutely.
Satan told Allah in the 7th chapter of the Holy Quran that I will lie in the straight path for them. What is the straight path? The straight path is your nature, black man. He's lying in the straight path, disguised as an angel of light.
Go ahead, brother. You're teaching the truth.
And I ain't talking about no spook.
No, sir.
Because just like God, the devil lives above the ground.
That's right.
God is a living God. And so is the devil.
Absolutely.
So now you got these savages coming in this country, brother, stabbing people up at random, blowing things up, gunning people down in the name of Islam. But that's your fault. Because you let them in, trying to counter us.
That's right.
Now, I don't have any hard evidence for that. And I don't like to teach based on speculation. I don't.
That's right.
Because anything I say up here, I like to be able to prove.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. Right and exactly.
But I don't think I'm going out on the limb by saying that. When this man let these foreigners in this country, all of these foreign Muslims, that he did that to counter the effect of the teachings of Messenger Elijah Muhammad.
Sir.
So now, this is what Malcolm said when President Kennedy got shot.
That's right.
He said one of the devil's weeds that he has sown on foreign soil is now coming back to choke him.
That's right.
Your chickens are coming home to roost.
Uh-oh.
And it wasn't like what Malcolm said wasn't the truth.
No, sir.
He told the truth.
Absolutely.
That was the truth.
That's right.
The problem was he violated a direct instruction from the messenger of God. That was the issue. And that's what got him sat down. But that's a subject for another time. A subject that I will teach
That's right.
very, very thoroughly.
Yes.
Because you Negroes, man, I'm not talking about the lost founds, the brothers that have sincere intent. I'm talking about those wretched bastards, brother, who use Malcolm as a whooping stick to counter the effect of Messenger Elijah. I got something for you.
That's right. Bring it on home.
Yeah, I got something for you.
That's right.
I'll paint Malcolm out like he was some hero. Going in front of the devil, brother, telling the devil he doesn't respect the messenger as a man. After the messenger took him out of a prison cell, brother, took him out of a hole. Man named Detroit Red, brother. Drug addict, thief, convict. Took him out of a cell, brother. Raised him up and put him up in front of the world. This man's going to go in front of the devil, brother. And spill and talk slander against the messenger of God. He wasn't no hero, brother. No damn hero. He's a sellout. The heck you call selling out? I call that selling out.
Absolutely. That's right.
Biting the hand that fed you in front of the devil, talking about what the messenger did or what he didn't do, as if what he did or whatever he didn't do is worse than what the white man did to you and your people. I don't give a damn how much abuse you may have suffered in the temple, and this goes to anyone. Whatever you accept, whatever happened to you in here is nothing in comparison to what happened to your people, brother, under the rule of this devil.
Absolutely nothing.
So you can't use that as an excuse as to why you don't follow the messenger no more.
No, sir.
Let me digress. Back to my subject. So the white man's iniquity always come back to haunt them. And this is the reason why, brother, when you read the Bible, the whole Bible, the narrative of it leads up to the book of Revelation. Revelation ain't pretty if you standing on that side of the fence. Whole lot of bad stuff happening in Revelation, brother.
Yes, sir.
There's a whole, it's the reason why Reverend Porkchop doesn't teach out of the book of Revelation, brother. Well, there's a whole different God in here, brother, than the one you was taught about in Sunday school. You understand what I'm saying? All praises due to Allah for the messenger. So now we know there's confusion. We have established that. You got lunatics that call themselves Muslims and kidnap children and stab innocent people, brother, at Ohio State University. Randomly, brother, just run up on the curb, running people over, stabbing them, talking about Allahu Akbar. Like, that's not Islam, brother. That is not Islam. The teaching of the Holy Quran says, if you spill the blood of one innocent person, if you have taken the life of one innocent man, it is as if you have taken the life of all mankind. Fight with no one unless you are provoked. Kill no one whom Allah has not ordered to be killed.
Right. That's it.
Killing people, brother, just randomly. It's not Islam. Damn serial killer, you savages, man. But what is Islam? And what are the aims of Islam? Now, when I say Islam, let me be clear. I'm not talking about what other people do. Call it Islam. You got thousands of masjids throughout the country where people go and they practice traditional Islam. Islam from the East. I'm not talking about them. I'm not attached to that. The messenger said, the Muslim is the brother of the Muslim. We give the greetings. Sometimes I don't even greet them, brother, because they act like, there's that real uppity thing going with them,
Yes.
But if we,
You can see that,
I got something for them too.
That's right.
So let me be clear. The Islam I'm talking about is this Islam.
Right.
The Islam where the moon starts in the first quarter.
Yes, sir.
The new Islam that the messenger was talking about.
That's right.
What is the aim of that Islam? What is the aim of the Islam that we practice in Muhammad Temple of Islam? Right? I'm not talking about anything else, but the Islam that is practiced in Muhammad Temple of Islam. I said Muhammad Temple of Islam.
Yes.
I'm not speaking about anyone else.
That's right.
But us.
Come on.
Aim number one. To teach our people and train them into the knowledge of God, whose proper name is Allah, and to teach them of the devil, the enemy of God and the righteous. I'm going to repeat that. Aim number one. To teach our people and train them into the knowledge of God.
That's right.
Which is the reality of God, said another way. That God is real. God is a man. God is not a spook. God is a living, breathing human being.
Yes, sir. That's it.
And this human being's name, proper name, is Allah. His personal name is Master Farad Muhammad. But before Master Farad Muhammad, there was a God, and there was a God before him, and there was a God before that. Now, some of you may say, well, that's polytheism, which is what we may be accused of. No, sir. Read your book. Matter of fact, let's read it together.
That's right.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Holy Quran, chapter 23, the believers. Verse 13. And we, listen to this, and we make him a small life germ in a firm resting place. Then we make a life germ, a clot, and we make the clot a lump of flesh. Then we make in the lump of flesh bones. Then we clothe the bones with flesh. Then we cause it to grow into another creation. So blessed be Allah, the best of creators. What is we?
Come on. Good question.
Is we more than one, or is we singular?
Yes, sir. With more than one.
Come on.
That's proper.
Now there's an explanation for that. There's an explanation for that. The messenger taught on that.
Yes,
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now the Arabs say, oh, it's the we of majesty. Like, you know how the medieval European kings, when they would address the crowd, they would say, we. In other words, referring to themselves. But here's the problem with that. This is a 7th century Semitic text.
Okay.
This is not a medieval European text. Those are two different worlds. And in the 7th century, you might as well have been talking about Pluto and Neptune. Because the fastest mode of travel was horseback. So we of majesty does not apply to a 7th century Semitic text. We means more than one. Why? Because God rules in cycles. The Allah that rules in this present Quran is not the Allah that ruled in the prior Quran.
That's right.
That's where the we comes from. Ain't talking about nothing spooky. Remember, the reality of God to teach and train our people into the knowledge of God, whose proper name is Allah. Not God. God means force and power. God can mean anything.
That's right.
A beautiful woman can be a god if you're weak in that area. And most men are. Remember, fasting is prescribed, brothers.
That's it.
All praises due to Allah.
Good teaching, brother.
Television is a god. Spend 11 hours a day sitting in front of the boob tube, brother. That's a god that rules over you. God means force and power. Nicotine. Opiates. All of that is a god that rules over you if you're caught up in that. But the proper name of God is Allah. Now you say Allah. Why you say Allah? Oh yeah, that's an Arab God. Arab God? Look, I'm not a linguist. All right? But let's deal with some basic linguists, and if you're interested in the subject further, I can recommend you where to go learn more about it.
Okay.
The God of the Bible, his name is not God. They refer to him as Jehovah in the Old Testament. But Jehovah is the Latin version of Yahweh. Right? Yahweh is Hebrew for I am that I am, which isn't really a name. It's just when Moses went to God, for lack of a better term, he said, tell them I am that I am. That's how you say Yahweh in Hebrew.
Yes, sir.
Then you have Elohim, which means the council of gods. Yeah, there's a council of gods in the Bible. And that council is referred to as Elohim. The singular being Eloha. Right? Now, Eloha is the Hebrew. In Aramaic, you say it Allah. In Arabic, you say it Allah. Now, the Semitic languages are languages that belong to a larger group of family languages, which is referred to as the Afro-Asiatic language family, which is found in northern Africa and in what is referred to as the Fertile Crescent. And among those languages, you have the Semitic languages, which is Hebrew, Aramaic, Arabic, Akkadian. But I'm not going to get too scholarly, brother. But some of y'all caught up in this 50,000 year thing where a scientist from among the original people took his people into the jungles of Africa and brought them into the jungles in order to make them tough so that they can survive among the wild beasts. The messenger taught on it. It's called the tribe of Shabazz.
That's it. Yes, sir.
But that's only 50,000 years old.
That's right.
The messenger took us into the root of civilization, into the root knowledge, which is in the Fertile Crescent and in the rich Nile Valley, which is what he taught. And the seat being in the holy city of Mecca, which is where our people come from originally, when the moon was departed from Earth 66 trillion years ago. And the tribe of Shabazz founded the best part of the planet Earth. We're not talking about, and I'm not making mockery, brother.
No, sir.
But that's not what we're talking about in here.
No, sir. That's right.
We're not talking about that. That's 50,000 years old. We're talking about where those people came from.
Yes, sir. That's right.
We're talking about before that. What the proper name of Allah or the proper name of God is Allah in Arabic, which is the original tongue of the black man. I ain't talking about what Habib is talking about in the corner store. Come up here talking about Islam is our religion. The hell it is. You learned Islam from the black man.
That's right.
Heck, you learned everything from the black man.
That's it.
One of these devils, brother.
Right.
Jesus didn't live in the Vatican.
No, he didn't.
Jesus wouldn't even respond to the name. There's no J in Hebrew.
Come here. Make it plain.
There's no J in Hebrew. There's no Christ in Hebrew. That's not Hebrew. That's not Semitic.
That's right.
That's not Aramaic. How did Jesus call on God? Allah or Eloha, which is the same as Allah.
That's right.
It's like the difference between Spanish and Italian. I speak Spanish, brother. I told my mother's Puerto Rican. I can speak Spanish.
Yes.
I speak it well.
Yes, sir.
I understand it even better.
Yes, sir.
Now, I can sit there, brother, and watch The Godfather. You know that scene where Virgil Salazzo is with Michael Corleone right before Michael Corleone goes in the bathroom, comes out and peels his onion, brother?
Yeah.
And they sing it dumb, tu padre pense antique, and all of that, you know.
Yeah.
I understood the whole conversation because it's very similar to Spanish. They're familiar languages. They come from the Latin root.
Yes, sir.
The same thing with Arabic, Aramaic, and Hebrew. They come from the same root, which is called Proto-Semitic languages. Now, like I said, I'm not a linguist. But there's not a linguist that would challenge what I'm saying. Let's move on. Point number 2, to teach the people the true religion of God, and that is Islam.
All right.
Well, Islam is not Boko Haram. Islam is not ISIS. Islam is the true religion of the black man. Islam means peace. Islam means obedience and submission to the will of God. That is our nature. That's not even our religion. Now the lost fan will say, why so much religion, Mr. Muhammad? As we've all read. I hope we've read it in Message to the Black Man. He said it in the Supreme Wisdom. Why so much religion? And when the lost fan asks you questions, you give him what Muhammad said. Don't make it up answers on the fly like you some scientist. Teach it how it is. And we're coming to a close. Just bear with me for a few more minutes.
Yes, sir.
Page 33 of the Supreme Wisdom, Solution to the So-Called Problem, So-Called Negroes Problem, Volume 1, 1956 is the date this was released. The religion of Islam, how Islam benefits us. Why so much religion, Mr. Muhammad? The religion of Islam makes one think in terms of self and one's own kind.
All right.
Thus, this kind of thinking produces an industrious people who are self-independent and industrious people.
Praise.
Industrious, brother. Why do you think we wear suits? It's an industrious look.
That's right.
Christianity does the opposite, does just the opposite. Makes the so-called Negroes lazy, careless, and dependent people. Think over such slavery teaching as this, that the rich man can't see the hereafter, and compare it with what the promise of Allah is, who offers the righteous heaven while they are alive. Riches in parentheses. I must continue to warn you that you can't depend on the white race to care for you forever. There has got to be an end to your dependence on them.
Yes, sir.
So why not start in time seeking something for self? Know this, my people, that this is the fall and end of the white race as a dominant power on earth. And that the loss of Asia alone to the white race means the end of their luxury. It must come to pass, believe it or not. So get onto your kind and be benefited by Islam. This is why Islam. This is why so much religion. This is why we must teach our people their true religion, which is Islam. For precisely that reason. If you want to read it again, it's on page 33. Brother, come on. The phone's on vibrate. To elevate our moral standards. Point number 3. All right. In order to have a beautiful society, you have to have morals. A high moral standard. I can't be truly your brother if I steal from you. I can't truly be your brother if the moment you turn, I'm hitting on your wife and daughter. And I'm sneaking.
No, sir.
Right?
That's right.
So we have to elevate our morals, brother. Our people are morally dead. More so now than when this was written. I saw Magic Johnson's son on TV today, brother. Somebody, actually not on TV, somebody put it up on Facebook. I was browsing and my wife showed it to me. I thought I was listening to a woman. I turned around, I was like, wow, Magic Johnson, 5-time NBA champion. I mean, you don't get more masculine than that, brother. And he's sitting up there making excuses for this conduct. Brother, no sir. No sir, brother. A man is as good as his purpose. You heard me say this, Brother Shahid. A bottle, just like a bottle, is meant to contain something. You put fluid in a bottle, water, whatever, liquid in a bottle.
Yes, sir.
Right? Now, if I break the bottle no longer serves its purpose. You can't call it a bottle.
That's right.
The same thing with that chair. If I remove one of the legs, and the chair no longer has a purpose. It's just a useless item, a useless piece of material. Can't call it a chair anymore because you broke the leg. A man has a purpose. If a man is acting like a woman, then you're not fulfilling your purpose. You're broken like that chair. So we have to elevate our moral standards, brother. Because we're dead, man. I mean, we caught in the mud of this devil civilization for real. Killing one another, stealing from one another, backbiting. Heck, we do that in the temple sometimes. And you got to put a check on it as soon as you hear it. Backbiting is forbidden in here. Don't make fun of your brother. Don't talk about your brother. You don't do that. Don't talk about your sister. You don't say nothing disparaging about your sister or your brother behind their back. You don't do that. That's immoral. That's gossip. Cursed is the tongue that speaks idle words. Point number 4. To unite our people in one nation or brotherhood. But you can't have that without morals. You can't have a strong nation without a moral nation. Can't have it. To secure better homes and friendships in all walks of life for our people. The messenger said that once you accept Islam as I have taught it, the doors of the civilized world will open up for you. Everywhere you go, you will be recognized and you will be accepted. We have evidence of this going all the way back to the 1930s in the original final calls to Islam, where there were articles in there about Muslims that had went east and they wrote about their experiences and how they were accepted in the 1930s. To secure universal recognition by civilized nations of our people, 4,400,000,000 throughout the planet Earth. This is why the devil called our people African, to make our people believe that the only people they have are the people of this continent and they are all savage. The devil brought a trading post into that continent. The original people called this continent Asia, but the devil called it Africa, right? These people that lived there are the ones that strayed from civilization and started living a jungle way of life. That's why he called us that. But there are 4,400,000,000 people on the earth, among the black, the brown, the yellow, and the red, that are our brothers and sisters. And we are looking for universal recognition among our people and the nations of the earth that our people are the heads of. To secure justice for the so-called American Negro. What's that football players that got gunned down the other day in a road rage incident in Louisiana? What was that brother's name? Forgot his name. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
They let that white boy go. They ain't even arraign him, brother. He didn't even get a chance to see the judge. Brought him down to the precinct. Man, gunned him down in cold blood, brother. Waited there, put the gun on the hood, wait there for the police to come. They took him back, they booked him, took him down to the precinct, questioned him, and then released him. Now, I listen, brother. I'll be the first one to tell you a lot of this BLM stuff is straight hypocrisy. Because these people, they come, they burn cities down, they marching in every protest. Anytime a white boy kills one of us, that's what they do. But we kill each other in Chicago every day in all these major cities, brother. Babies getting gunned down, grandfathers, and I mean, all kinds of savage stuff we do to ourselves, brother. But you don't see these people nowhere. That's hypocrisy. And I'll be the first one to call them out on that. But let's be real. if this brother gunned that white boy down like that, do you think they would have brought him back to the precinct and just let him go?
No, sir.
Hell no. You know that's not happening. So here we are in 2016, still confronted with the same issues that we have been confronted with for over 400 years, and we refuse to listen to Muhammad.
That's right.
Can you reform him, devil? Emphatically no, sir. We have to give justice to ourselves. But we ain't justified to complain about anyone, including the white man, until we suit up, boot up, strap up our boots, and give to ourselves what it is that we demand from other people.
That's right, brother. Absolutely right. True.
Point number 8. To have protection for our women.
Yes, sir.
Now I'm going to say something very controversial. We have to protect our women.
That's right.
We cannot have our women the way that they are today. We just can't have it as men. Sorry. Now I'm going to read something, brother. The black woman.
Come on.
Now, sisters, don't get angry with your brother
No, sir.
when I say this. The black woman, help me out here, brother. What page is that on? Because I don't want to paraphrase it. A black woman. Where are you, black woman? All right, looks like I'm going to have to paraphrase it. The messenger said in Message to the Black Man, in protect and elevate our women, or in the subject, the black woman, we are seeking the recognition of the civilized nations of the world. The first step in that is the protection and control of our women.
That's right.
He used the word control.
Control. Right.
Now think about it, brother. We all fruit. You can't protect what you can't control.
Come on.
Now, if I'm on post, General Order number 9, allow no one to commit a nuisance on or near my post.
That's right. Yes, sir.
I can't control an environment. If I can't control an environment, I can't secure the environment.
Come on.
I can't secure the temple if I have no control over the environment. I can't protect the woman if I have no control over her. Your woman's out late at night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, walking the streets by herself. She gets raped. That's what happens. Sorry, it's cold-blooded, I know. But what do you want? You're half naked in the street at 3 o'clock in the morning, walking down a dark alley. We can't have it.
No, sir.
We have to protect our women. But in order to protect them, you have to control them. Sorry.
That's right.
I know that, you know. Ain't no man gonna control me. That's fine, you know. You know, they get to chirping with this thing, you know, with their neck.
True.
That's fine. You know, there's no compulsion in religion.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna be in here, you're gonna obey the rules. And we're gonna obey the rules.
That's right. Absolutely.
Because we're not authoritarian. It's not an authoritarian. So all of us are under the law of Islam. Men and women. We have equal rights under the law of Islam. Islam is freedom, justice, and equality.
That's right.
That doesn't mean we have equal authority. We don't have equal authority. We have equal rights. It's my job to protect you, not the other way around. There's a little something that's called biology. I don't know. Perhaps you've heard of it. I'm stronger than you. Therefore, I'm in charge of protecting you. In order for me to protect you, you have to You have to listen to me. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong.
No, sir.
But you got to listen to me. You understand what I'm saying, brother?
Yes, sir.
All right. Point number 9, and we're closing. This is the last point.
Yes, sir.
To secure better businesses, schools, and hospitals. All right. To secure better businesses, schools, and hospitals. Listen, brother. That one right there, I'm going to leave that alone. Because if I start going into that, we're going to be here for another 12 hours. And I know I promised my brother a lecture on business. Perhaps I'll give him that one next week. I apologize. Shoot me a text during the week, black man, and I'll get to that. But these are the aims of Islam. You don't see nothing in here about kidnapping children and forcing hijabs on them. You know, killing kafirs and infidels. You don't hear none of that in here. These are our aims. So this goes out to anyone that's listening. Indiscriminate to who is listening. Do not lump us into that. Because we are laying out what our aims are today. This is what it is. This is what we want. So I pray Allah, in the name of his messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad,
Yes, sir.
that you found this lecture enlightening, educating, and that you take something from it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I pray Allah that he inspires you to spread this information.
That's true.
But I'm not putting this up to listen to my own voice. I want you to spread this information, please.
Yes, sir.
Get it to the people.
Yes, sir.
To secure better business, schools, and hospitals. How do you think that's going to get built, brother? With empty chairs?
No, sir. Not ready.
I was going to say something, but I'm, you've been here long enough. All right. So with that, I thank you all for listening. May Allah bless us all with the light of understanding as I greet you in peace. Salaam Alaikum. All praise is due to Allah. For the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Are there any questions?